Thank you for joining us on this edition of the show. These are no doubt interesting times for the world. While a number of industries have been negatively affected, one industry that has witnessed and continues to witness growth is tech and innovation. My guest on the show is directly supporting hundreds of startups across the continent, and she shares her thoughts on how the African innovation ecosystem can thrive despite the challenges brought about by the pandemic. We'll kick off the show with some interesting news and updates. This is Tech Trend, and I'm Chukwuemeka Agbata.
Some people call this artificial intelligence, but the reality is this technology will enhance us. So, instead of artificial intelligence, I think it would augment our intelligence. Can you imagine having to add, subtract, multiply, or even divide multiple digit numbers without the use of a calculator? You probably can't, right? Except you're one of the few referred to as a human calculator. There seems to be no clear-cut definition of human calculator in a regular dictionary, but according to Wikipedia, the term is used to describe a person with a remarkable ability in some areas of mental calculation, such as adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing large numbers.
3 times 5 times 2. Okay, that would be 650.
Oh yeah, times 3.
1,950.
Times 9.
17,550.
Tella Jolade is one of the few with such abilities. A former student of the Lagos State University, Tella says he discovered that he could control numbers without thinking about it at the age of 6, a gift he says is from God.
I have the ability to control numbers with my brain. I can multiply, divide, subtract, add, do square roots, cube roots, and some other things without using calculators.
Having such mathematical ability like that of Tella's could come in two ways, being a prodigy or training oneself. For Tella, the former is the case. Although he says has been mocked severally for his talents, he never relented.
At times, people trying as much as possible to still mock you, despite the fact that you do what you do. Because there are some things I'm going to keep anonymous, whereby they will still like, what is so special about it? Half human, half machine is very possible. But one thing, it has to do with the fact that training and consistency and discipline, those are the things that one really needs for me to achieve that.
280
times 5
1,400
times 5
7,000
times 5
35,000
times 5
175
times 5
875
times 5
4,375
times 5
21,875,000.
Tella is in the first with such skills. Some of the world's famous maths masters are Shakuntala Devi, also known as the human calculator, who was an Indian writer and mental calculator who strove to simplify numerical calculations for students. Her talent earned her a place in the 1982 edition of the Guinness Book of World Records. However, the certificate for the record was given posthumously on the 30th of July 2020, despite Devi achieving her world record on June the 18th, 1980. Scott Flansburgh has same ability that led him to be named fastest human calculator by the Guinness Book of World Records for speed of mental calculation in 2001 and 2003. And 20-year-old Nilakanta Banu Prakash, who recently won world's fastest human calculator title for India in the Mental Calculation World Championship. But these skills still build up curiosity in others who find it difficult to comprehend.
I was invited to College of Medicine in Ikeja, Lasukom, where they did some MRI tests. And they noticed that nothing was happening, even when they tried to, under rigorous training, like, okay, fine, they asked me to go through some things, and they kept on asking questions. After that, like, nothing was happening. Then I noticed that even when you keep asking the questions, the answer keeps popping out. Then the only thing that happened is that if the numbers are too large, then maybe that's maybe some seconds, probably 45 seconds, or at least minimum of 45 seconds for me to give the answers. Concerning point of human and machine, where it is very possible, because one thing that is for sure is that our brain is one of the most complex machine ever. So with it, we can achieve anything, and we should look at it from this angle. Some of those things we are seeing with artificial intelligence, robotics engineering, software engineering, some of them have been is an idea that okay, one person okay, this is what we can do. Comes from the brain. So with our brain, we can achieve anything, and I see is that it is achievable.
Tella is on his way to becoming a programmer, and he says he intends to use his gifts with automation to get the best out of it.
To help reduce its dependency on oil, Africa's most populous country is pushing for more people to take up agriculture, which currently contributes about 40% of its gross economic output. But the sector is wrought with poor infrastructure and electricity, among other challenges, making agriculture less attractive to many. At a time when restrictions on the movement of workers and social distancing is working against any desire to increase outputs, some technology firms are seeking to offer farming solutions. Nigerian startup Beat Drone, founded by Confidence Odionye, is helping large-scale farmers spray pesticides on their farms using drones instead of backpacks.
The aim was simply to ensure that we increase efficiency in the agricultural sector and reduce the cost of operation, and also improve harvest yield in the agricultural sector in Nigeria, which has been plagued by massive loss of crops at harvest period.
The firm has partnered with the Ogun State government to locally manufacture 3,000 drones every year and make them affordable for the farmers.
The coronavirus created a loophole for the entire African continent because Africa is totally reliant on imported food.
A government report on the impact of the outbreak indicates that about 39.4 million people, about a third of Nigeria's workforce, may become unemployed by the end of the year 2020.
This hospital has called in a new member of staff to better treat coronavirus patients. Its name is Temi, an artificial intelligence robot that allows for doctors to diagnose, consult, and treat coronavirus patients from a safe distance. Temi is a vital member of the medical team of the Clínica Nova Hospital in northern Mexican city of San Nicolas de los Garza. It is fitted with a monitor, camera, and microphone that allows it to be ideal communicator between the doctor and a patient. A remote control allows Temi to easily move up and down the hospital corridors.
Pues todavía un poquito cansado, pero mejor ya sin dolor ni nada.
¿Pero eso tu casa,
La ventaja que le vemos es que cuando no tenemos totalmente.
The advantage that we have with the robot is that even if we don't have a complete team of medics, we can still enter the COVID area without the need for physical presence, and we can solve problems with patients. We have used it for non-critical COVID patients. We have used it for patients that are a little more stable.
Hemos utilizado más en los pacientes que están un poco más estables.
The hospital is the first in Mexico state of Nuevo León to use this technology.
De que en cualquier momento, incluso estando desde nuestras casas.
At any time, even from our homes, we can enter the COVID area and see what is needed, if the treatment is being administered adequately, and to see what the patient needs.
And Temi could be the solution to keeping doctors safe in the country. Over 70,000 medical workers have caught the coronavirus in Mexico, where the pandemic death toll is now the third highest worldwide, behind the United States and Brazil. Some 1,000 have died from the virus, according to official figures.
So if it's a squishy object like a soft tomato, is it overly ripe? These are things that we can train the machine learning algorithms to detect, much like how you would tell whether a fruit is ripe by just simply squeezing it, right? So in the same way, because we have 100 sensors working independently, they can detect the minute vibrations and minute sensations of the surface and transmit that to a machine learning algorithm to interpret. In our case, we use our brain to interpret, but in this case, we use AI to understand these sensors. When you lose your sense of touch, you essentially become numb every single moment. And prosthetic users face that problem. They are unable to feel the world just like us. So by recreating an artificial version of the skin for their prosthetic devices, they can hold the hand and feel the warmth and feel that it's soft. How hard are they holding the hand? They're able to do that, and they can regain some semblance of normal life.
Next is my chat with the CEO of the Chord, Sheila Bergen. Stay with us. Sheila, glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me in the show.
So looking at the African innovation ecosystem today, what has changed?
Well, a lot has changed, especially this year. I mean, a lot. There are a lot more people getting into the ecosystem. Governments are becoming more deliberate about investing in infrastructure, for instance, for education, for health, manufacturing. So a lot more has changed in the sense that, absorption of, technology is a bit more now than before. But I think also there's a lot more highlights towards the ecosystem globally, something that was not there 10 years ago. Almost every country now is very deliberate about growing their ecosystem. So, I mean, we are thriving in a way.
Now looking at it, more critically, what do you think we should do as Africans to ensure that we make the most of the digital opportunities that are available today?
Okay, so I think most of us as entrepreneurs or innovators and governments in Africa, we are not deliberate about leveraging technology for commercial purpose. We look at it from the, impact or whatever it is, but not for commercial purpose. And that's why digital sovereignty, for instance, is not a big deal to governments in Africa because, if you register your business wherever, it's fine. But they don't look at the long-term effect of making sure that businesses are registered in their country, that those products are locally owned. So I think that is one thing we really need to look at, ensuring that the policies in the digital space ensures that, local innovations are locally registered, but they also look at, at the global market in the sense that everybody can use it, but ownership of the products is important that it's local. And I feel a lot of superpower countries do that, but I haven't seen a country that is very deliberate around that issue yet.
So that means that the concept of having African-grown technologies may not be so close.
It's not. You see, the thing is, I think we look at African businesses in terms of who starts those businesses, but not how those businesses are registered, where those businesses are registered, where those products are developed. And that makes a big difference. So in a way, we are still exporting intelligence or knowledge or expertise. And even though the products are here, we're just consumers. We're just consumers of those products. And that, I think, makes a big difference in the long run. Right now, I think maybe because most of the ecosystems are young, so I get that bit, but I think we need to be a bit more serious around looking at, ownership and even open internet in our countries.
Sheila, you have worked with hundreds of startups across the continent. What are some of the biggest challenges that you think the startups that you have worked with have faced trying to grow their business or their enterprise on the continent?
So, I think we romanticize entrepreneurship in this continent. And so we make a lot of people get into entrepreneurship assuming they will become overnight superstars and billionaires. And unfortunately, if you look well at most of the billionaires in Africa, they are not from the entrepreneurship side. They are from the political side or from the, traditional businesses, mining, oil and gas, those types of businesses. And so a lot of kids and just generally most people get into entrepreneurship, especially in innovation and technology, and they start wrong. So when you start a business wrong, it becomes really, really difficult to correct those wrongs down the line. That's why we get a lot of challenges with team dynamics, because you did not have contracts when you were starting out. You did not agree on what the roles and tasks for each person and what is expected from them from the word go. It's just me and my friend Fred who are starting a business. So, and then I tell you, okay, because you know a lot more people, you do business. Because me, I'm a bit shy, I will be in the background. But there's nothing written. So sometimes when the investors come in, you don't have even, proper due diligence documents for them to, for the investment process to close a little bit faster. People they don't do compliance. So you've never submitted tax for the past 6 years that you've been in existence. You don't even know how that goes about. So there are so many basic business fundamentals that, and unfortunately we are not taught this in school unless you go to business school, that's where you're taught. But it's not people who go into business school who start businesses.
Okay, so thanks, Gia. I'd like to get your opinion about the whole concept of building unicorns. Should that be our focus in Africa?
No. I just
Tell me why.
I'll be direct.
Tell me why.
You see, I don't mind us looking at building unicorns. For sure we should, but not, we want unicorns today. I want to build a business today and I have a unicorn by the end of this 2020. It's impossible. We have so many issues that will not allow you. For instance, let's look at a very basic issue that cuts across the continent, logistics. Logistics is a nightmare almost in every single place in this continent. If you're building a business that leverages that supply chain, you either have to have a lot of money that you invest in the distribution of the supply chain, or you have to already have it. So I don't think we will be able to get unicorns today, but I kid you not, the moment we start unlocking those, and that we've seen some of them, it will be the easiest continent to build unicorns for, because one, we are a continent who listen to each other. So I'll tell you, there's this app I tried. It's good. It's so good. You'll download it. You will not question anything. Every single day. Same. That's why with loan apps, for instance, they move faster. We are a community. We are a community-based continent. And so if a product is good, it's easy for me to become your brand ambassador, even without you telling me. So with unicorn, same thing. We need to, build that ecosystem or customer or community mass or numbers for us to get unicorns. So trying to tell kids, today if you start a business, it will be a unicorn by the end of the year, we are lying to them.
So Sheila, let's dive deeper a bit into the policy side. I know that some countries in Africa have led the way with the Startup Act, for example, Tunisia, Senegal. How far has Kenya gone with theirs?
So we have a Startup Act that has been drafted and to be tabled by the Nairobi Senator, I think through a member of their party in Parliament. And we're hoping to have our Startup Act maybe next year. He's been working with us in the Association of Startup and SME Enablers of Kenya and a few other ecosystem players in ensuring that this comes to play. There will be obviously public participation, and we look to involve more stakeholders in the ecosystem to ensure that the policies drafted there are inclusive and they really help businesses grow. But over and above that, our government is very deliberate about innovation and technology especially. We have the Data Protection Act, we have different policies around SMEs as well, and different measures that the government has put to ensure that inclusivity and thriving of SMEs in the country. So I'm super hopeful. I know because, for instance, all the government services, we can get them online as citizens in Kenya. So that shows you what type of a government ours is. I'm hopeful, there are a few things here and there that, most governments go through. But for this one specifically, I'm very, very hopeful that, we will have something concrete for the ecosystem soon.
Well, the fact that your e-government is strong, that's a good one. The fact that citizens can pay for services online, that's a good one. Sheila, always a pleasure. Thank you for being on the show today. Keep doing what you're doing. I wish you all the very best.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Let's keep growing this continent.
I have been chatting with Sheila Bergen, CEO, The Cord, based out of Nairobi, Kenya. Yes, the pandemic caught Africa unawares, but it certainly presents us an opportunity to retool and re-strategize. Like the saying goes, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade out of it. Let's hope this is a true story of Africa when the dust finally settles. It's a wrap on this edition of the show, but the conversation continues online. Join us on social media. Remember, you can watch the entire show on Channels TV, YouTube, or via cfablog.ng. For Tech Trends, I'm Chukwemeka Agbata.